I've got early access to Project Motor Racing on PS5. I've played it for 8 hours already, and I'm going to give you my first impressions right now. The cover car for Project Motor Racing is a Le Mans hypercar. It's the Lamborghini Le Mans hypercar. Bear that in mind for later. From the main menu, the first thing you are presented with is multiplayer as the very first option here. Let's go and check that out. Now, because this is early access, there isn't really anybody playing multiplayer right now, so I can't show you any multiplayer races, but I can explain exactly how it's going to work. So ranked is the top option. Before you're allowed into ranked multiplayer in Project Motor Racing, you have to pass the Project Motor Racing license test. Now, this has been made a little bit easier than it was when I first started playing this game, because the target time was 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's now been updated and it's 8 minutes 35 seconds, so it should be a little bit more easier to do this test. I will be covering this in a future video. You can also create custom lobbies. At the bottom of the screen, you've got a few different options here, so you can press the triangle button to create server, and you can go and run through the different setup options to create your custom lobby. These are the exact same setup options that you can use when you're creating a single player race, and we'll talk you through that a little bit later. You can also browse for other lobbies that have been created, and it looks like user 1162 actually has 3 players in a 32 player lobby, so that's good. 32 player lobbies is really good. And then the third option for multiplayer is social races. These are non-ranked multiplayer races, and these will run, I think, on a 15-minute rotation. It looks like there's 4 different races available. So right now we've got the historic Porsche Challenge. We also have the MX-5s, GT4s, and a GT3 race. That GT3 race begins in 13 minutes. The other 2 start in 3 minutes time. If I was just to click into one of them right now, we are then registered for the lobby that opens in 2 minutes 45 seconds. I am the only registered player right now just because it's early access. You stay in this menu until you let the timer expire, and then it sends you to the track in various groups of splits that it puts you into. From the main menu, next one down, we have single player. You can either choose to do race weekend, which is single races, or career. I'm surprised to see there is no time trial option or quick practice option. You can make a quick practice session from within the race weekend menu, but you have to go through a lot of configuration to basically strip it down to be just a practice session. Let me just show you now. So you can choose your car and your car classes. You can choose the track you're going to. For opponents, you can choose how many opponents you have and the AI strength. So we've got a slider from goes up to 100, goes down to I don't know how far, 40, 35, 30, 20. So between 20 to 100 is the AI strength. I think 90 is pretty decent. At 100, the AI is actually quite fast. You can choose for the AI to be in identical vehicles. So if you're playing in the GT3 class, for example, you could have them all in the same Aston Martin GT3 as you. If it's identical class being off, it's any other car from that class. So the full range of GT3 vehicles will be in that class, for example. You can choose the number of cars in that class of vehicle category for yourself, and you can also add another class. So I could have some Group C cars in with me as well, and I can only have 15 opponents on PlayStation 5. I've seen other people with PC have more opponents than this in single player, so it does look like on PlayStation 5 specifically there is a limit on the number of people in the single player races, and that is 16 cars including your own. Then scrolling down to session, we have some options on this session, and this is where it's slightly frustrating that just a single straight up practice mode doesn't exist, because if I want to switch between practicing at a track or racing at a track, I have to go into here and turn on or turn off race or qualifying depending what I need to do. Slightly frustrating. I would love to see just a time trial option from the main single player menu. It's also a little bit frustrating that I feel like these bottom 4 options should be broken out into a sub menu, because these options are set even for the practice session, but it makes it look like it's set only for the race session. So if I was to turn off the race session, turn off the practice session, these bottom 4 settings, so the time of day, track condition, damage, and pre-warming tires, that is enabled for that practice session. That is just a very small minor detail, but this video isn't just for you guys, the viewers and potential customers. I also want the developers to watch this video and take on board the feedback and make this a much better game. then we head down to weather. So we can change the weather for the track. Perhaps this is where some of the session settings should be, so time of day maybe should be in here as well. So maybe the bottom 4 options should actually be in the weather, and it's maybe just the environment setting that it should be. So a really cool thing about Project Motor Racing is you can change the season that you're racing in, and that doesn't just change ambient temperatures and stuff, it changes the foliage and detail around the track. I'll show you that a little bit later in the video. You can change the weather type: hot, cold, light rain, rainfall, random, average. You can change the weather deviation, and I guess that is how variable the weather is over the course of 30 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That is a feature that I'll probably test a little bit in more detail later on. And then when you're happy with the settings, just go down to the bottom. It's just behind me right here, and just click on race. You go to the track and run whatever setups you've got already. Yeah, so I really would like to see time trial or practice session as a heading here under the single player. The other option for single player is career mode. You can have 3 different save games running and driving at the same time. Here is one of my save games. I'm in the Porsche 911 GT3 car. I haven't actually really progressed this at all. I literally just went through the options. Let's go and show you creating a brand new session now. So if you click on new career, you get a bunch of options. I'll let you read this on screen. Essentially, it's just showing you how the Project Motor Racing single player campaign is, and it's almost like owning and driving in a race team. So you can do your team registrations. You've got your team name, your driver name, and your HQ location. The location of your HQ has a subtle effect on travel expenses and costs of cars. So let's just put in anything here for that. Then we go into a sponsorship model. This is quite detailed. I'll let you read through the things here. I'll thumb through them. Essentially, if you want to pause it and read them in more detail, feel free to do so. I'll skip through each one as I'm talking, but essentially each one is a different sponsorship model, whether you want to be chasing wins, being secure when it comes to receiving damage because you pay for all the damage in this career mode, whether you want to be chasing those wins, chasing the fast laps, or just getting a flat fee. Choose whichever one is best for you. You also get to choose your starting budget. Do you want to be fighting from the bottom in the slow cars with minimal budget and working your way up, or do you want to go straight in with a full $2 million budget for your race team? It's up to you. $100,000 is a pretty low amount of money, but that starts you out probably in the MX-5s, and I think that's a really good way to start this. But to give you an idea of costs of cars, I'm just going to choose the middle option for now. And then at the bottom we've got career settings. Now the authentic way to play this is essentially with the AI locked and fixed at 100%. So the AI will actually be really fast. You're going to be unlikely to be winning races early on. You can authentic also disables restarts, so you make a mistake during your race and you're going to have to carry on no matter what happens, suffer the consequences of wrecking the car, etc, etc. If you want to make it a little bit more easy for yourself, you can choose classic, which allows you to use the AI difficulty slider to set the AI to be a little bit easier if you wanted to. You also have the option to race lengths, so you can do multiples of races. So if you want to do longer races for each race you go to, then use a higher number, and lower for lower. With all that set, go down to confirm at the bottom, and this is where you buy your first race car to enter your races. Choose a car that you can afford, and then you're off to the track. I'm not going to go into too much more detail. That's probably due for a separate video. Make sure you subscribe for that one. Let's go and look at some other options. From the main menu, you also have available challenges. These come in 2 different flavors: Endurance Hall and Factory Driver. Endurance Hall is a bit more about the racing. This is where there are preset race scenarios where you can do 43 laps around Spa in a LMDH car, or 50 laps of Sebring in the LMDH car, Mount Panorama GT3 car 40 laps. These are scenarios that are preset for you, and your actual finishing race time goes onto a leaderboard, and you can compare how you do against other people that have completed that challenge. The second option here is Factory Driver. Here we have 1 lap challenges of various curated things. So for example, we've got the Lister Storm around Northampton, which is Silverstone. There is a target time, and other people on this list are there to compare against and set your time and see how you compare. I guess because we're in early access, the usernames don't populate properly, so user 103, user 670 and user 115, they'll probably be populated with proper names once everything is fully unlocked and live to the public. From the main menu now, you also have downloadable content. This is where we can get additional vehicles, packages, deliveries or events. So we're going to click on category, choose vehicles, and there are a few different cars that you can download, a few different groups. So the Praga, for example, click on that one, it gives you a quick preview, click on X again to install, and then we can install that car. That mod was successfully installed, so we now have the Praga car. If we do the same thing again for the differences, the Group 5 pack and the GTE Decade pack. Now, last time I checked this, it wasn't actually working. Again, I think because the servers aren't live yet, but when they do go live, I believe that those two packs may be paid DLC. We can also look through packages. Now, that is the packages we've just talked about. So the Praga was a single car. These seem to be packages. If these are paid DLC, I would prefer to see the price of the paid DLC ahead of time before I even click that button to let me know if it's going to be a cost or not. Heading over to liveries, and we can just download extra liveries for some of the other cars. So we can grab the Huracan livery here, looking pretty good. Simply just click install and it will successfully install that mod. And same for career events. This is where you can download additional career events that you can pick up and play. Project Motor Racing is said to support third-party mods, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. No real official information has been disclosed on how that will work, but that could be something that will make this game fantastic. User created cars, user created liveries, that would be really, really good. We can go down, we can see what things we have installed, we can see what updates have been applied. We can click on downloads, I'm not sure what that does, not active yet. And then we can also click on DLC, also not active yet. You have driver profile from the main menu. We can edit the info, and this is where you can choose your nationality, change your race suit color, so you can make some subtle customization to the way your driver looks, which is pretty nice, but it is a long way away from what Gran Turismo can do with the livery suit and helmet editor. You can view results history. I haven't completed any actual races yet. I've been mostly focused on just driving cars around the track and just getting a feel for the way the cars drive, and therefore no lap records exist. And if you look at my stats, let's just look at general. I've driven a good amount of kilometers in all of the different cars, trying them out around Lime Rock Park specifically. Short track, you can get a lot of laps in. It's really, really good to do. Right, let's go and drive some cars. Actually, before we drive some cars, I'm going to run you through every single car in the game right now. We're going to go from slowest to fastest. So the Mazda MX-5 trophy is in the game. There's a bunch of liveries that you can choose from for that Mazda. That is really, really good. It's a great beginner car. We've got a Porsche 964 trophy. Again, a bunch of liveries exist for this car. We've got the NGT class. We've got the BMW M3 GTR, Viper Competition Coupe, Gillet Vertigo. Does anyone remember this from one of the earlier Gran Turismo? GT3 perhaps. That was quite a good car in Gran Turismo 3. The Marcos, the Morgan cross-eyed car. I've always disliked this Morgan car, and it still doesn't work as a race car in my opinion. There's the Mosler MT900R, Porsche 911, and a TVR Tuscan T400R. That would be a pretty wild car to drive. Next up, we've got the GT4 class, the Alpine, Aston Martin, Audi, BMW M4, Chevrolet Camaro, Mustang GT4 car, Mercedes, Nissan, Porsche and Toyota. A really good selection of GT4 cars. Then we've got the 1970s sports car. The Lola T70 is in there. A bunch of different liveries on that one. That's fantastic. And the iconic Porsche 917 in there. A bunch of different liveries on that one. Fantastic cars. Then we have the GTO class, 90s IMSA race cars. We've got the four-wheel drive Audi, Chevrolet, Mazda, Mercury, a bit of an American muscle car, and then the Nissan 300ZX Turbo GTO. Again, a bunch of liveries for all of these cars. That's good. These are really good cars to drive. I'll talk you through that a little bit later. We've got the 992 Trophy Porsche Cup car, a bunch of liveries for this one. That'll be a great spec racing series. It's a really solid car to drive with the speed versus performance is really good on that one. Got the GT3 class. We've got the Acura or Honda NSX, the Aston Martin, actually in fact two Aston Martins. There's the Vantage GT3 and the Vantage GT3 2022 model. Audi, I mean, sorry, my mistake. M4, Corvette, Mustang, Lamborghini Huracan, Mercedes GT3 and Porsche 911. Ferrari appears to be missing. In fact, Ferrari's missing from the game completely. I'm not sure what the reason is for that one. Up to the GT class, Aston Martin, Corvette, two Corvettes in fact, Viper GTS R, Lamborghini Murcielago, Lister Storm, Maserati MC12 and a Celine S7R. Again, bunch of liveries for all of those cars. Up to the GT1 class, Lotus in the game, Lotus Elise GT1, Mercedes CLK LM, Nissan R390, Panos Esperante. This is a car from my youth. This is I guess like a late 90s Le Mans GT1 car. I love this car. I really like this car. Such a weird layout, and this one is probably my favorite race car of all time. This is the Porsche 911 GT1 from 1998. This car is fantastic. I hope this car drives well. And then finally we have the iconic Toyota GT1. Moving up into Group C, we've got the Jaguar, we've got the Mazda 787B, the Sauber C9, the Nissan R89C and the Porsche 962. We have the early 2000s LMP cars, so the Audi R8, the V12 BMW, the Cadillac Northstar LMP02 and another strange Panos, the LMP1 Roadster. Up to the fastest class in the game is the LMDH cars, the Acura ARX, the Alpine Valkyrie is in here, the BMW M Hybrid is in here, the Cadillac is in here, the Lamborghini poster car for Project Motor Racing is in here, the Peugeot 9X8, the Porsche 963 and the Toyota GR010, as we know from Gran Turismo. We've seen that in Gran Turismo. It'd be interesting to see how that drives in Project Motor Racing. Let's look at the track selection. Okay, we've got a couple of tracks in this one that aren't the right names. So we've got Brianza, which is clearly Monza. It's Monza, of course it's Monza. We've got the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, not a track I'm particularly familiar with, I've got to say. Iconic Spa is in the game. Daytona is in the game. Only one layout for Daytona. Derby is in the game. That's Donington Park, guys. So it's got the GP layout and the short layout, the national layout. That's good to see. Kyalami is in the game. It's a good track. I've played that a little bit in Le Mans Ultimate. It's a good track. Lexington is in the game, not a track I'm familiar with, and we've got the no chicane or with chicane variant. Lime Rock Park is in the game, 3 variants of Lime Rock Park, and this is definitely a shot at iRacing, guys. With the Mazda MX-5 and Lime Rock Park, that is a classic combination from iRacing. Mount Panorama is in the game. I've not tried it yet, but normally a good ride. And then we have Northampton, which it's Silverstone, guys. So really good to see Silverstone in the game. We've got the Grand Prix layout, the international layouts, and then we've got the layout with the original pits. Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit is in the game. It's got the original Grand Prix layout and the sprint circuit. And as a separate item, the Nürburgring Nordschleife is in the game. So that is fantastic that they've got the full Nürburgring Nordschleife. And I was about to say, where is the 24-hour layout? But it's actually another separate item. So instead of a track variant, it's a completely separate item. So yeah, 82 turns of the Nürburgring Nordschleife 24-hour layout. San Marino is in here, and I guess other people know it is Imola. So yeah, again, probably a licensing issue. Sebring is in. It's got the full Grand Prix circuit. It's got the Johnson Club circuit, and it's got the school circuit. Sebring is an iconic track from the US, from the IMSA, classic for racing, LM hypercars or GT3 cars. Spielberg Red Bull Ring is in here. They don't call it Red Bull Ring, I guess. Maybe another licensing issue. They've got the full Grand Prix layout and they also have the national layout. Sao Paulo is in, a fantastic track from F1. Zolder is in the game. That's a really, really good track. And that concludes the tracks available in Project Motor Racing. That's a really good selection of tracks. The cool thing about the car selection screen, guys, is that you can press a button. It'll be shown just beneath me here on this example here. It's the R3 button. It takes you to cockpit view to allow you to change the cockpit view of the car, and it's stored individually for each car without going into the game each time. So you can go through every single car in the garage and just set up the seat position. So right now you can change the forward and backward position of the car. Left and right, not sure why you'd ever want to change left and right. You want it to be smack bang in the middle, which is normally right. You can change the height of the seat, which is good. The tilts up and down of the driver's position. The field of view, so depending how wide your monitor is and how far it is away from your eyes, is what FOV you want to use. You can also change the position of the mirrors that are in the car. I haven't played with this particularly, but it's something that you can change, which is good. You can also choose whether to show the steering wheel or not. So you see at the bottom of the screen there, by having the steering wheel on or not, so whether you want to see the hands turning or not, you can just choose to hide it or add it back in there. That's all good. For the purpose of my testing, I have left the steering wheel on because I want to make sure that the in-game wheel matches the rotation of my actual physical wheel. I've had some discrepancies during the setup process, but that's mostly been when I've had a controller doing the menus and then I switched to wheel backwards and forwards. There's a few little details here that aren't quite right, and then you can simply save what you've done for your settings. You can change the camera movement. I am still testing the way this works because I don't think some of these are exactly right. So for example, speed sensitive shake, G-force movement, I have them set to 0, but some of it still exists. I would like 0 to be 0. If I want to have a little bit of shake, I would set it to 3. If I don't want any shake at all, I'd set it to 0. I've got it set to 0, it still shakes. You can change the hood so you can display what is on the hood and what isn't, and you can also change the hood layout as we saw in the Rennsport video, guys. This is good. This is very welcome to console sim racing. It gives a good amount of customizability. For the purpose of my testing these cars, I am going to enable tyre pre-warming. This is to make sure that the tyres are in the right operation temperature right the way. I don't want to spend 2 or 3 laps getting the tyres dialed in for temperature. I just want to hit the track straight the way out the pits and feel how the car should be feeling. The track condition is going to be set to heavily rubbered, so this should be the most grip that the track has available. When you head to the track, you get a little bit of an intro, a little bit of a pan across the track, and you can just press skip if you really want to. From the pre-driving menu, you also have the ability to change the cockpit setup. This is probably a good place to do it because you see any mirrors that exist, and you also get to see the environments that you'll be racing in instead of just looking at the back of a garage door. You also here have the option for vehicle setup. The essentials screen is where you would see data from your best lap times, your current tyre temperatures when you finish that session, fuel usage, all of the useful information to help you plan your strategy. In tyres and chassis, this is where you can choose what tyre compound, if it's available, your tyre pressures, steering rack, any aero devices, and you can just go through these different settings by using the kind of gear up, gear down. And now already there's a bug here, guys. The order in which you bounce through these isn't right, so I'd expect to go front left to rear left, that's fine, then across to steering. The next one I would assume it goes to is the one that's just beneath it, but no, it goes down to aero, so I need to press it again and it goes up to force feedback. Press it again, over to front right, down to rear right. It's just a menu ordering issue. Why isn't that spotted? This is a released game, guys. That's a problem. That's a minor annoyance, but that needs to be fixed. Then on suspension, we've got a bunch of suspension settings we can change, and right, here we go through here. That menu does seem to be in the right order. Engine and drivetrain, we can change traction control, ABS, regen. Regen is for the high hypercars. Fuel, we can take the fuel out, brake bias, brake pressure, differential, preload, clutches, all that stuff. I will probably cover some of these setup options in a future setup video, guys. And then pit setup is where you can pre-plan your pit stop. If you're doing a longer race, you can have the tire change, whether it's no tire change, hard compound tires, wet tires, or auto, how much fuel to put in the car, and whether you repair damage or not. And now finally, guys, it's time to drive. So you start in the pits, you drive out the pits, pretty sim-like. I've already preset all my controls, so we're good to go. Why are my tires cold? Okay, so just loading back in, and yeah, my tires were cold because I was messing around in the menu. They should start at 90-ish degrees, and you see how quickly they're cooling around. So all the time you're in the menu, your tires are getting cold. So this is the slow Mazda MX-5 around Lime Rock Park, and initial impressions, it's solid. It's good to drive. It's got a bit of a motion to it. I like the way it drives. You can kind of trail in on the brakes. The car slides just a little bit. You can get up on the curves, get quite aggressive. Engine sounds a bit flat, to be fair. You can be quite aggressive through the chicane at Lime Rock Park. Really abuse these curbs. You can feel the curbs through the force feedback. The force feedback does feel a little bit light in this MX-5. I would prefer a bit more weight in the wheel, but there could be ways to improve that with force feedback tuning. I have already dialed it in a little bit. I've spent 8 hours probably tuning force feedback and stuff. So also bear in mind, guys, I am using the Moser R5 on a PlayStation through adapter, so just bear that in mind when I'm giving force feedback feelings. And honestly, the MX-5, it feels pretty solid. It's got a good flow to it. Over the grass here, the car will slide when you get on the grass, so the car is not 100% stable. You can change the ABS. By default, there is no traction control on this MX-5. It is low powered, but you can get into trouble if you bounce those curbs and really force the issue. So overall, the MX-5 is decent. So guys, I want you to pay attention to a few apex speeds. I want to demonstrate another car after this one. So we are going to be into turn 1, braking down to third gear, 120, 110, down to 100 kilometers an hour apex speed around turn 1. What we're down to for turn, again, another 100 kilometers an hour around these corners here. So we can maintain above 100 kilometers an hour around here. Let's try a different car. Do you remember I said about the Lamborghini poster car? Well, let's just try this. The exact same settings as before. All I did was change car. I'm going to go straight in to it here so that the tyres are warm. Now, first of all, you pull away on the electric motor, which is pretty cool. And then it starts up. That is fantastic. So it just feels like I'm floating. Look at the apex speed. I feel like I'm driving a hovercraft. This is the cover car for Project Motor Racing. It's just sliding. I can't get around this track as fast as I can in an MX-5. Who signed this car off? The car just floats. There's barely any force feedback. It just floats. It's literally like... Now, it's got heavy traction control. It's got no grip. The car just has no grip at all. This does not feel like a hypercar. This feels like a hypercar that I'm using vintage tyres. It just floats down the straight. Nothing really has any input at all. It's just sliding around. I've got less corner speed than I have in an MX-5. Right, let's go back to pit. What can we do? Vehicle setup, tyres. Let's put soft tyres on it. Maybe it's the tyres. Let's just check in. Yeah, I'm on soft tyres. Drive. Yeah, it's soft tyres. It tells me down there. Right, listen to the engine start. That's nice. Right, it still floats. That's no better at all. These hypercars feel absolutely shit. This isn't a hypercar. This is the fucking drift hovercraft. Oh, this is terrible. Let's just see what it looks like from outside. Another thing that's not great is the replay looks like it's, I don't know, 25 frames a second or something. It looks jaggy as... But just look at the way the car is. It's floating around the track. Now, I've never driven a hypercar in my life, but I've watched thousands of hours of Le Mans and hypercar racing. I've never seen them do this. Look at it. It's fucking floats. It's crabbing. No, that's very, very bad. Right, let's try another one. I have driven the Toyota GR010 thousands of miles in Gran Turismo. Yes, Gran Turismo is not a hardcore simulator, but I've driven this in Le Mans Ultimate as well, which is a more hardcore simulator. So let's go and drive this again. All right, it's barely moving. Oh, there we go, we're off. Feels the same. It feels exactly the same. TC is cutting in all the time. Let's turn TC down a little bit. Let's just turn TC off. So I've got no ABS, no TC. So it slides, but it doesn't spin. It just has this constant drift. It's like they've put drift tyres on a flipping hypercar. This isn't right. It doesn't seem to have much rip either. Oh, there's something so off with hypercars in the version of the game that I'm playing right now. Just watch this on track. Okay, so we're going out the pit lane as we did in the Lamborghini. And just look, it's just squirming all over the track. I think around here is where I turned off TC. And I'm going to see some Tokyo Drift style getting on the gas. It's just crabbing. There's just something not quite right with the way the tyres are working. Look at this. Oh, I've never seen a hypercar do that in my life. Nah, this is just... Hypercars right now in Project Motorsport are absolutely junk. It's not called Project Motorsport though. It's Project Motor Racing. I'm thinking Gran Turismo Sport, sorry. Look at it sliding into the corners. Just this. Right, let's try some GT3 cars. This is the bread and butter of sim racing, GT3 cars. Right, let's try the Honda NSX. I've driven it in Gran Turismo quite a lot. Okay, skip the intro. Straight to drive. I've driven this car already. The cockpit is set up. Sounds pretty good. Well, I've got 1,000 times more grip than I had with the hypercar, that's for sure. So into turn one, yeah, 120 kilometers an hour through there. Much better than the hypercar. It actually feels like I can have some pace around the track. Force feedback is doing nasty things though. Getting jolts on the wheel. I'm getting very strange jolts on the wheel. Oh, I've lost it there. That was a bit of a downshift potentially. But the force feedback, and it's pulling me over to the right hand side. That's not right. Right now that the wheel's really trying to pull me to the left. It just wants me drag me into those barriers. If I was to let go, it just drags me over left. Now it's trying to drag me right. What is it doing? It feels like the caster's on backwards on the car or something. It's right now I'm having so much force trying to drag me over. If I was just to let go of the wheel, it just wangs straight over to the right. It's hard for me to deliver the feeling of what's happening with the force feedback. In this car here, it feels completely broken compared to all the other cars I've driven in Project Motor Racing. I just get massive jolts on the wheel, and they don't even correlate to like the road feeling at all. It's just spikes of force feedback. Try and get a bit faster. Just, yeah, every now and again, just massive. Like it's trying to force me. It's going in a straight line. If I was to let go, it just drives off. I would be faster driving this car if I was to turn force feedback off. No, this is... Okay, GT3 cars are broken. Let's try the GTOs. The Mazda, I've had a few laps with this. It felt decent, I thought. I'm not changing my force feedback settings at all between any of these different tests here. So, Mazda sounds good. Let's just rip it out of the pits. And this car has no TC, no ABS. Completely manual from the 70s, I guess. 80s maybe. This one feels fine for force feedback. It's not giving me any odd jerks. It tracks pretty straight. And the car slides and the feedback is as I expected to be. This one's nice. This one's brilliant, in fact. Down the gearbox. Bouncing those curbs, that's nice. Fielding the curbs. It's giving me everything I need to know about the force feedback and what the car's doing, the alignment forces. That works really well. Love it. When you throw it in deep, it gives you the feedback you want. It's between this car and the previous two cars I've driven, it's like playing two completely different games. Hard on the brakes. Down 2 gears. Double apex first corner. Getting on the gas, really just pushing the car a little bit too wide there. Track limit issue. I feel far more connected to this car than I ever did any of the two previous cars I've driven. Getting the car sliding on the gas, that's lovely. Oh, big lock up there on the brakes, nice. Yeah, this car is brilliant. I could run plenty of laps in this car and never get bored. A big slide there, but it told me what it was doing. I could correct it. Let's get a big slide onto the straight, just sliding it on there, nice. Let's try and push hard into turn 1, see if we get a lock up. I've already driven more laps because it just feels better. $120 kilometers an hour, 125 kilometers through turn 1. It's faster than a hypercar apparently. Yeah, this is good. Right, I'm going to try out the Porsche 911 GT1 98. My favourite car of all time. I hope this one's good. Cockpit's nice. And this car has no ABS, no traction control. Everything feels normal for this one. The force feedback feels good. No weird jolts or jerks. This feels good. A little bit slidey from what I imagine this car would have been like, but it's enjoyable. It flows nice. Just trying to not lock those tyres on the brakes. Oh, this is good. Feels good. A little bit of a turbo whistle there. Some nice sounds coming out of the engine. That shift up lights, very, very convenient. We've got 135 kilometers an hour apex speed through here. About 30 kilometers an hour faster than a flipping Le Mans hypercar. This car's 25 years older than those hypercars are. Yeah, this feels good. I'm enjoying this. Oh, big lock up there. Oh, no ABS. Okay, so clearly there is a huge disparity between the different car classes in Project Motor Racing. And I don't really know what to say. That there was a whole program that was put forward for factory drivers to help develop, clarify and validate all of the cars before launch of this game. Ben Collins, aka the Stig, was involved. Has Ben Collins ever driven a hypercar in this game? I doubt anybody has driven a hypercar in this game, considering how shit they were. Really, really bad. And then on the flip side, you've got the GTO, the Mazda, all seem pretty dialed in. This Porsche 911 seems pretty good as well. As I said before, it's like I'm playing two different games. If they can bring all of the car driving characteristics to be realistic for every single class within the game, then I think we're onto a winner here, guys. And finally, let's just quickly run through the options available in this game. Now, I find it baffling that there's not flipping options that is in this list above me. It's just a separate button that you press. I almost forgot to tell you guys about this. So you press L3, for example, to go into options, and you have audio available. So you can change master volume, music volume, voice volume for the spotter who calls out, player car volume, opponent car volume, UI volume. One thing that I think is missing, and I'll show you right now, you can't change the wind noise volume. In the open cockpit cars, the wind noise is ridiculous. So here we are in the Audi R8 LMP car. Oh, first of all, let's just see how it drives. So force feels alright in this one, actually. Yeah, feels not too bad. When we get down the main straight, you can hear the wind noise in the car. Now, it may be realistic, but it's just overpowering for a sim. I want the audio to be the engine note. I don't want the crackle of simulated wind. Alright, let me just run down the straight without talking so you can hear. So yeah, it's quite aggressive, that wind noise. I would like that to be adjustable in the audio level, so I can just bring the wind noise down a little bit of the car. And also tyre squeal and tyre noise, please allow that for users to be able to adjust that individually. People that like to hear the tyre squeals to help them with lockups and stuff, people love that stuff. Other people hate to hear the tyres squealing all the time. Please give us that tunability. And I've got to say, guys, another fantastic thing with Project Motor Racing is the way the car feels. That the car I'm driving isn't stiff, it isn't wooden. If you look at the wing mirror that's just behind my head here, it's vibrating in the high speed. The piezo tube in front of us is vibrating with the way it goes through the track. The car I'm driving, it feels quite alive. It doesn't feel like I'm driving a rigid, rock solid block of a car. Okay, back to the options menu. We can choose assists. There's some good assists in this one, so you can have the racing line on. It just shows you the racing line. I don't think it's particularly accurate for being the fastest racing line. It is dynamic, so it turns red when you need to brake and it's green when you can get on the gas. Again, I think that isn't perfect yet. Traction control. You have two options here. You can have it to be authentic or force on. and the same for ABS, authentic or force on. What this does is this allows, if it's in authentic mode, if the car that you're driving from that time period did not have ABS or traction control, you cannot use ABS or traction control. If you turn this to be force on, it will just basically add modern ABS and modern traction control selectable through the MFD for the cars that you are driving. So this is a good option. I like that a lot. Auto clutch, auto cut, auto blip, trailing throttle. That's a weird one. So these three here are nice to have if you want to be fully manual with a manual clutch all set up, auto cut, auto blip. You can do it all yourself, or you can have it set to be force on. Trailing throttle, I have no idea what that option does. I will test that in the future, but not a clue on that one. Downshift protection, that is just to allow you to downshift and not over rev your engine on the downshifts. I guess if it's set to authentic, if the car of the area, like a modern GT3 car, that would have downshift protection enabled. But if you're using a Porsche 917K, you can just ram it down into first gear and probably blow the engine, or at least cause some engine damage. That needs testing in the future. Transmission, you can have manual, automatic upshifts, automatic fully, or fully manual. Auto pit limiter is when it does pit speed limiter automatically, and then the pit box indicator gives you a box where you need to stop for your pit stops. Control bindings is good, so you can run through and bind any of the functions to your wheel, pedals, whatever you need to do, or your controller. If you use the gear shift buttons, if I had the controller connected, I could switch between the control methods to choose different settings for what's on the controller or what's on my steering wheel. That's pretty good. There is extensive input device settings, so the top one here, I actually have no idea what it does, but it seems to rotate with my steering wheel. That's not really a setting that I think should be in there. That's an obscure one. The steering pad dead zone is when you're using a controller. Steering pad saturation zone, steering pad sensitivity, steering pad lock scale. That's all to do with the steering stick on the controller. I think I'm going to have to cover that in much more detail in the future. The global force feedback gain is just the overall feedback strength for your force feedback on your wheels specifically. Low force feedback boost actually boosts up the small details. If you've got a low powered wheel, it's useful to boost those low power force feedback so it's detected by the wheel. Force feedback detail, that is like it's an alignment force. All of it's almost how much of the weight transfer is brought back to you through the force feedback. I liked it quite high. Force feedback smoothing is just to help dampen any vibrations and stuff like that. If you get a lot of oscillations, you can raise this, but it is at the detriment to the detail and you get a little bit of latency with that. Force feedback headroom is to boost the higher force feedback details, so like a big curb strike or something like that. That is going to allow a high number, gives you much more feedback on those big curb strikes or big force spikes. Haptic strength is for the controller. It's the kind of vibration feedback. Then we've got throttle and brake pedal dead zones and all of that stuff here, so you can configure those as you need to, including clutch pedal dead zones and all that stuff. What is on the screen right now is the settings that I've been using for a good few hours. I'm quite happy with them, aside from driving the GT3 cars, which do weird stuff with the force feedback. I think that's probably game related rather than settings related. It should also be noted that every vehicle has some additional force feedback settings which are on top of the force feedback settings that you set in the menu. So if you go to vehicle setup, tires and chassis, head across to steering. This is where you can change the steering rack, so the ratio between your wheel rotation to the amount of lock that is produced by the car. Then we also have these two options here are for a force feedback amplification. So there's a stiffness stiffness to the wheel rotation you can add per car, and there is steering dampening that you can add per car. Then if you go to force feedback section, You can add a multiplier to the force feedback strength you've got set in the settings. You can change the rack feeling, you can boost or reduce the alignment, and you can boost or reduce the load. You can add in some wheel friction, and then you can change the low, high and mid forces that are applied. This all is car specific and setting specific. It's an interesting choice they've made to break this out and have it saved per car setup. How that plays out in the future, I'm not quite sure. I feel like that shouldn't be attached to the setup of the car. It should just be attached to the attributes of the car, perhaps. I haven't actually played with any of these settings yet. That's going to be in the future. And then finally, in the options, we've got preferences at the bottom. This is where you can choose subtitles, distance units in metric and imperial, weights, pressure, fluid units, power units, temperature units, cinematic sequences, all of the stuff. Not particularly detailed, but if you like to see temperature in degrees centigrade, you're good. If you want to see pressure in bar or in PSI, then change it all in here. Okay, so here are the seasonal effects. So this is summertime, a lot of greenery around the track, all looking good. Beautiful green trees. Now we're into autumn as it's selected in game. That's fall for you Americans. So trees are looking much more brown, the leaves are turning, and you can see just the way the track looks, just much more autumnal. And again, we've got very kind of winter trees. Just the colours just seem a lot less saturated. There's a lot less leaves on those trees as well. A lot more bare tree bark that you can see. Great change in weather. And now doing a start in spring. So again, much more greenery in the trees. A lot of kind of just fresh. It looks quite similar to summer, to be honest. Which is to be expected. Spring into summer is a similar transition, but it's great to have these different seasons around the tracks. Some things to note that I feel are completely missing from Project Motor Racing is the ability to save a replay. I can't see a way to save a replay. I can watch it live just after I've driven, but there's no way to save it. There also doesn't appear to be any kind of photo or free camera mode to allow me to pause a replay and just position the camera and take a good screenshot or take a good photo. I think that's a huge oversight, really, because there are content creators out there that will make race videos, just live streams, all that kind of stuff. Nothing can be captured from within game. Pretty soon, anyone that's covering Project Motor Racing is going to run out of media for screenshots and thumbnails, and that's a big oversight. Surely the people that make Project Motor Racing want as much media coverage as possible. Please give people the tools to create fantastic screenshots. A big glaring one that is going to be a huge deal breaker for many PlayStation 5 users is just the lack of PSVR 2 support. I get it, PSVR 2 could be difficult to program a code. A game that is cross-platform, available on PC, Xbox and PS5, but PSVR 2 is ridiculously good, and the people that play Gran Turismo 7 in PSVR 2, they will not play any other racing game unless it supports PSVR 2. So to summarise my feelings and first impressions with Project Motor Racing is that I feel like it's less finished than everybody expected it to be. Some of the cars drive like absolute ass. There's problems with them. I can't see how someone didn't just test all the cars before they released it to reviewers to review. I mean, it's embarrassing. If there are 70 cars in the game, all it would need is just one person to drive every car just for 2 corners. I noticed that the hypercars were shit within just pulling out the pits. It didn't drive in a straight line, it crabbed. The cars that do drive good seem to drive really good, absolutely fantastic. I don't think it would take anyone 2 hours just to run through all 70 cars and just do 3 corners with the cars and just check they're okay. I tell you what, just give me a call next time. I'll happily do it. I'll happily give you 2 hours of my time to drive all the cars for a couple of corners and just say, yeah, that's about right. but I do think it has potential. I feel like the problems in the game are just subtle code bugs. It feels like the wrong tyres on the hypercars, for example. Just some small tweaks, and I think it would unlock its potential. I'm excited to see what happens in the future for Project Motor Racing. If you have enjoyed this video, if you have found it useful, then please hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I was aiming for 30,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and I think I want to fall a little bit short on that one. If you have any other questions and want me to cover more things in the future for Project Motor Racing, then leave them in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I love to hear what you think. On screen right now will be a video that YouTube thinks you're going to want to watch next. Go and click on that one, and I'll catch you in the next one.